happy Thursday. Thanks for joining us at the Hail Trace noon forecast today. I appreciate you hopping on here. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. We've got a big forecast today. We've been watching Minnesota and Iowa for that risk for hail, which the SPC has actually increased the area that we're expecting significant hail today. So we'll talk about that in just a minute, but I do want to mention big hail across two different states. Midwest in the path of storms as well. So these storms will return on Friday. So that's for tomorrow. And then we have I put two disturbances in the Atlantic, but there's really three areas to keep an eye on. And we'll talk about that at the very end. So we have those storms today up to the north, even as far south as Kansas City. We've got those storms tomorrow in the Midwest, and then we have three areas in the Atlantic to watch out for. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. I do want to mention some of the storms that we saw yesterday. Some wind reports just on the east coast of northern Florida. I think we got some wind damage from that. One of the most impressive storms was in the far northern portion of North Dakota. I want you to watch this storm right here. A little tornado produced just to the north of Devil's Lake, and then another storm farther up to the north produced a golf ball sized hail. I think that's Belcourt. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So yeah, we got that tornado report. We got golf ball sized hail yesterday as well. And then we got one little wind report just to the north of Oklahoma, just across the Oklahoma and Kansas state line. So we got a little bit of everything yesterday. Today will be no different. We've got another chance for strong to severe storms today with all hazards likely, or all hazards possible at least. We have a cold front coming through Minnesota, down to Nebraska, through the middle of Kansas and into the Oklahoma and Texas panhandle right now. This is going to be driving those storms later on this afternoon. We've got one little minor storm right now coming out of Kansas City, but this line of storms is slowly unzipping down through Kansas and even probably bringing some big puffy clouds in northern Oklahoma right now. We'll see how far south that gets. Can we make it even farther into Oklahoma? We'll see. Pretty dry across the New England states right now. We've got showers and storms anywhere from Florida all the way up the East Coast. Nothing severe there. Pretty dry out to the west as well. And our Four Corners, pretty dry right now. However, on Saturday, that is whenever we see another chance for storms out here near Colorado, New Mexico, and even out to the western sides of the Oklahoma and Texas panhandle. That's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about those storms and warm temperatures today. You can actually see the impact from the cold front here. Do you see that kind of dividing line where it's cooler on the western side of the front? It's more warmer with temperatures in the 80s and 90s on the eastern side of the front. Kansas City may be cooling down just a little bit because we do have a storm just to the north of Kansas City right now. So there may be some clouds over there that have cooled you down for lunchtime. Lucky, lucky, lucky. Maybe you can have, if it's not storming where you are in Kansas City, maybe you can have lunch on the patio today with some of that cloud cover. Meanwhile, back here in Oklahoma, we're in the 90s. It's hot out there. 90 degrees in Dallas as well. 93 up in Denton. Factor in, holy moly, factor in the humidity now, all that moisture in the air. And it feels even hotter. We've got 97 in Oklahoma City, 95 down in Dallas. So that humidity is definitely doing something to the temperatures, or the feel-like temperature in Oklahoma City right now. Let me take you farther up to the north. Let me take you to Minnesota. And that is where we're watching for that next chance for strong to severe showers and storms today. So what we're watching for is most of central Iowa, all the way up to central and eastern Minnesota, including Minneapolis, including Duluth, and including Des Moines, for that next chance for strong to severe storms. Watch what these storms do with this unstable air. This unstable air fuels those storms. You can see those storms using up that air. Now, this is not the only chance for storms today. We could, as I mentioned earlier, see storms anywhere from places like Kansas City all the way down to even Oklahoma City has a very low chance for severe storms. However, that better chance is farther up to the north. I wanted to mention it. It's possible. It's just not a high probability today. Alrighty, let's move on to your significant hail model. You can obviously see the exact area where we're watching for better chances for hail today. I think that could even go down into central Iowa here for the better chances for significant hail, but really Minneapolis looks like something to definitely keep an eye on today. All right, moving on to, oh, you can see, I wanted to show you like Kansas and Oklahoma, really not impressive with that hail model today. Moving on to your future radar. So we're gonna do a wide zoom and then we're gonna go into each individual place and take you hour by hour here. You can see what is driving this storm and a good portion of the weather across the US. We've got this low pressure system sitting in between Canada and North Dakota right now. We've got that front, you can kind of see that line that's coming down, and that'll help to initiate storms this afternoon into the evening hours. And it'll be these storms that we are keeping an eye on tonight. So here we are, noon, moving on into the afternoon, evening hours. You can see these storms go up really, really fast. And right through the eastern side of Minnesota, you can just see them fire off as we head into the evening hours. Now we'll talk timing in just a minute, but before we do that, I do want to note that a lot of this could happen during your evening commute. So if you do have a friend on the road, maybe you have plans to be on the road 5, 6 o'clock this evening, make sure you're checking the weather before you do that and make sure you have a plan. If it's storming where you are and you don't want to get out on the road, try to stay inside, try to stay off the road whenever these storms come through. So here's your risk whenever these storms do come through. What are we expecting here? We do have the potential for a really good chance for some significant hail up to about 2 inches in size through places like Minneapolis, Des Moines. I mentioned Duluth earlier as well. I do think those better chances for more widespread scattered showers and thunderstorms will be through Minneapolis and central Iowa. So we've got eastern Minnesota, central Iowa on here. Again, up to 2-inch size hail, maybe just smaller than the size of a tennis ball here. Because we are so scattered with those showers and storms in this area, I went ahead and put that red locator on there for the risk level in the high category. However, a few more isolated thunderstorms up near Duluth, I went ahead and lowered that risk level. Very similar for Kansas City, where I put a lower risk level for Kansas City for hail. However, if we move on to wind, I upped that chance just a little bit for wind, and then I included Oklahoma City in that as well, because I do think that we could see some high wind gusts here if we could get a storm in Oklahoma City today. But the thing is, can we get those storms this far south and this far east, or do those storms stay out near the panhandle today? We'll see. Either way, I put that as a low risk, and then that risk increases as we get into areas with more widespread scattered showers and storms later on this afternoon and this evening. Again, we could see some pretty strong wind gusts up to about 75 to maybe 80 miles an hour here, but I do think that hail threat will be the main threat today. That wind risk is going to be a secondary threat today. So we talked about the max forecasted hail size. Most of these hailstones will be golf ball sized or smaller. However, could we get an isolated, almost tennis ball sized hail? Honestly, if I was being really honest here, I think that hail size will be right in between that 2 and 2.5 inch mark here. However, if I had to choose one, I went ahead and said tennis ball for today, because I think that forecasted hail model really looked impressive up here. Either way, let's get to your future radar. Zooming down in here, hour by hour here, Minnesota, Iowa, this is what we're watching for. You can see those storms go up right around 3 o'clock this evening, and central and this evening, 3 o'clock this afternoon, there you go, right around central and northern Iowa. These storms start to unzip up to the north and even a few down to the south. Here you are, here's your evening commute. 4:30 to 5 o'clock, right through Minneapolis. As I mentioned earlier, these storms will fire fast. Once they're on, it's on. These storms moving and continuing to spread up to the north as we head into the evening hours tonight around dinner. And by after dinner time, you're about done with those storms in Minneapolis. However, if you head down to Iowa, these storms are going to stick around a little bit longer, a little bit messier down here. These showers and storms are scattered we've got this risk continuing by about 9 o'clock in Des Moines and through central Iowa on the central and southern side of the state, but wrapping up by about the time you go to bed. Maybe you have to go to bed a little bit later tonight, about 11:30 midnight. It looks like these storms are for the most part on the eastern side of the state, and I do think that the farther east that they get, that severe risk will go down. Now, we talked about wind, we talked about hail. What about that tornado risk? Here you are, it's a level 2 tornado risk, mainly for Duluth and Minneapolis. Des Moines is in that level 1. Most of Iowa, except for the northern part, is in that level 1 risk here. But here we are, highlighted in yellow, level 2, moderate risk for isolated tornadoes. It's not going to be a ton, but isolated is definitely possible. And actually, the SPC went all the way down to Kansas City with that level 1 risk today, stopping about central Kansas, right along the Kansas and Missouri state line there. So make sure you're weather aware for that. You don't want to be caught with something that you are not ready for. Oh, there's our 5-day rain chances. I thought, where did all this data go? Okay, back on that tornado threat here, I want you to make sure that you have multiple ways to get your weather alerts. One of those ways should not be your phone. You can get weather alerts on your phone, but make sure you have a backup in case your phone dies. Alrighty, here you go, 5-day rain chances. You see those showers and storms right through the plains all the way up to portions of the Midwest today, closer to Chicago for tomorrow. We've got some showers and storms expected along the East Coast, and then even up to a few of our New England states as we head into the next few days here. Some of us getting some really good rainfall, others not so much. The tropics, okay, 3 areas I mentioned here. This is one of our disturbances. Over the next 2 days, 20% chance for this to form into a tropical cyclone. Over the next 7 days, that chance goes up a little bit higher. Not as impressive, and you can see from even satellite, not as impressive for that second disturbance here. The most impressive thing that we are watching, and if you watched the forecast yesterday, we highlighted this area for low shear and high sea surface temperatures, 2 things that you need for cyclone formation. This area, now the National Hurricane Center is saying this area has a low pressure system. This area is the next place over the next 7 days that we could see tropical cyclone formation. So it's not a disturbance yet. You can see from satellite, and nothing's really going on right now. However, in the next 7 days, we're talking the last week of September, this is where we could see the next tropical cyclone formation, and we've talked about that with some of our lower wind shear. You need these pinks and purples to get really good cyclone formation. You also need sea surface temperatures to be high, and some of the highest that we see is in that area that I highlighted earlier. Okay, so that's what we're watching for. Not a ton going on right now, but basically what the National Hurricane Center is saying is they're saying just get ready, because next week could be a lot more active. And of course, we'll keep you updated on all of those details as we get them, as things start to develop. Alrighty, temperatures. Can we get some fall weather in here? It does not look like it. Oklahoma City, Dallas, really standing out here, hitting that century mark tomorrow, 100 degrees. I hope your pool is still open. This would be a great pool day, 100 degrees, 94 in Shreveport, 87 in Memphis. A lot of us well above average as we head into the next 24 hours here. It's going to feel like summer again. This is something that we talked about a few weeks ago. It's summer's revenge. It's coming back. Holy moly, 99 on Saturday, 84, 95 on Sunday. Make sure you drink tons of water now, because you'll be sweating this weekend if you're outside in any capacity and you want to be ready for it. Speaking of, it's football weather, or it's football this weekend. It's really not football weather. I put holding onto decent weather for your football forecast on Saturday. We're really excited for this game, OU versus Tennessee. Again, drink your water now, because you're going to be sweating if you're out at the tailgate with us. 94 at kickoff, 90 degrees at halftime, dry, hot, mostly sunny, slight south wind. If you are at the game, come and see us at our tailgate before the game. If you're not going to the game, come watch the game at the tailgate. It's a lot of fun. We have food. Tons of people go every week. I've been there a few times. It starts at 3:30, and the game is at 6:30. So it starts 3 hours before the game. This is really easy to remember. 10 to 112 across from Gate 12. So it's just south of Heisman Park. Go see the Heisman statues and then go visit our tailgate with Beacon. We'd love to have you there. All right, thanks for joining us on our forecast for this Thursday. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Some of the benefits of following us on places like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok are like today. We have a busy forecast today. I posted the forecasted radar, so what we're expecting to see from those storms and that risk on TikTok and Instagram before we even got onto our forecast today. So these are important places if you want up-to-date weather information to follow us on. And of course, give us a call if you're interested in a wind, hail, or tornado map, 855-334-4245, or email us at info@hailtrace.com. Head over to our website for more weather information at hailtrace.com. All right, thanks for joining us on this Thursday. We'll be back here same time, same place tomorrow.